hiking. Oh, how beautiful. Don't be wimpy. It's strong. It's strong. The cleansing is strong. She's dirty. There's a thing called a gyre in the North Pacific. If you haven't seen it, it's on the computer. Gyre. It's floating plastic, bottles, bags, everything. It's twice the size of Texas. We will never clean it up. Why? Because the government said it'll cost too much money. So she's dirty. She's a woman. She has white hair, the North Pole. The lakes are her eyes. The surrounding trees around the lakes are her eyelashes. Her nose in Mount Humphrey, the San Francisco peaks. She has the breathing tunnel. That's called the Blowhole State Park. She breathes in. I've stood there on a hot Arizona day, and she breathes out ice cold air for 6 hours, and there's a 2-hour lull. And over on the New Mexico side, the other nostril, she blows out. The scientists put colored particles in her nose, red dust. 6 hours later, the red dust blew out 100 miles away. She breathes in at 30 miles an hour. She blows out. The Indian people knew this. I talked to Grandfather David Menange. He went 4 times to the UN. No war. Don't make no war. It's going to come back on us. They only talked to some dignitaries in the lobby. They said, oh, that's very interesting. We'll come back and hear more after lunch. They never came back. I'll give you a copy of the Hopi warning letter to the United Nations, to everybody. Okay. The Three Mesas stick up like 3 ribs on the Earth Mother. And because of the, and this is in the Four Corners area, right here in Arizona, the Three Mesas stick up like 3 ribs. Spell the word rib out loud in English. Spell rib.
R-I-B.
Spell it fast.
R-I-B.
Arribi, that's on Second Mesa. That's the name of the oldest village. It's over 4,000 years old. You know how they know? The scientists, archaeologists, they cut one of the ceiling beams in one of the houses, and they said, why this tree's over 4,000 years old? So they found, they wanted the money. So they wanted the coal and the uranium and the copper. And so this is all the smog over the Four Corners area, all the smog. This is the bad air. This is called positive ions. That's probably where they got the word poisons. Remember the 4 sacred mountains? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this area has the most lightning storms than anywhere. The Navajo have 38 words for lightning. There's the creator lightning. Then there's Ashina, the female lightning. Then there's the red, the blue, the yellow, the pink, the orange. I've seen the blue. Wow, it is something. It is brilliant. They don't have TV. They watch the lightning, and they have 38 words for lightning. Beautiful way. And so the lightning hits the top of the mountain. In survival, you never stand on a mountaintop during a lightning storm. The lightning hits the top of the mountain. Below the mountain is the copper. Just like your electric wires, it has copper. Cherokee people wore copper bracelets. Their dances were counterclockwise, the direction of our earth around the sun. The energy from the lightning goes into the copper. And so it carries the energy, and then below the copper is the uranium. The uranium acts as a storage battery, just like so you can start your car. And the same thing is happening over on Hawaii on the other side while it's happening up here. And below the uranium is the coal. The coal acts as a filter so that the uranium does not go into the underground aquifer. The underground aquifer goes all around under New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and the underground water goes back and forth, and then it comes back the other way. And over here, you have Mount Humphrey and 2 lower mountains, And here's her nostril right there. That's Mount Humphrey in the San Francisco Peaks next to Flagstaff. And this is the Blowhole State Park at Kopatki. And she breathes in at 30 miles an hour. She takes in all the bad air. She takes in all the bad air, just like that. She takes in all the bad air for 6 hours, and there's a 2-hour lull. And then our Mother Earth breathes out for 6 hours, and she doesn't breathe out positive ion. She breathes out negative ions, which is good for all the world's children to breathe. And then the underground water goes back and forth, just like us. See, we take it for granted. We're breathing. Hey, we all breathe the same air. And so the Creator told the people, keep this land in a sacred way. And so to remember, he said, make your villages of stone, make your pottery of clay. Your broken pottery, your broken villages will last forever and give proof that you were here first. And so they put it on their pottery. So when the imposing belief came, they didn't know what all that was on the pottery. So Grandfather David Menange showed me this in 1979.
Wow.
Thank you.
So you may find pieces of it. When you find a piece of pottery, you will find something like that on it, and maybe a spiral or something. You know, when you find Indian pottery. Well, anyway,
Navajo piece I found.
what is that, chocolate?
Piece of
Oh,
pottery.
it's a piece of pottery. Oh, it is, see?
It has the lines.
Yeah. All the knowledge is hidden. It's hidden in the weaving, the 4 directions, the 4 colors, the 4 races, everything. It's going to take me 3 more days to tell you in depth the rest of the story, but I know you got to get going, and you guys probably want to take...
halfway through, or what do you want to do?
I keep going. I can go 4 days and 4 nights, even if you fall asleep.
We can't sit that long.
I know, but I can do that because I was trained to do that. Grandfather said, even though the people are sleeping, it's like learn a language tape. And so they get it. It takes many, many lifetimes to absorb, and 4 days to tell. So I always just say, don't believe it. It's just a story. But watch what's happening. The earth drum has 2 sides. And so it's called an antipode. Want me to tell you one quick story? Huh?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I offer $100 to anyone who can break this story. When the English came to America and they saw the tall trees, they thought, we can build the greatest naval fleet in the whole world and we will be the queen of the ocean. Because in England, all their trees were gnarly, like Sherwood Forest. But when they saw these great redwood trees and the great sequoia trees, they felt that they could really build something because it was straight and the redwood was impervious to salt water. And they found the great sequoia tree named after the Cherokee genius, Sequoia. And they said, they sent word to England. It takes 50 men to join hands to go around one sequoia tree. Bah, humbug, said the Englishman. There's no trees that big. Send us proof. And so they cut the bark off the great sequoia tree. The bark at the base is over 3 feet thick. And it's just like bear fur. And it's like trying to burn a stack of telephone books. The first pages burn, they smolder, and then it goes out. And that's what happens with the sequoia trees. That's why they are the oldest trees in the world, because the bark just smolders and goes out, and so it gets all the water, even though they've got the smallest pine cone of any tree. And so they cut the bark at the base of the sequoia tree, and they cut it about 4 foot by 5 foot by 3 foot, and they numbered each square, and they took about the first 50 feet of the great sequoia tree, And they sent instructions how big to make the skeleton framework out of whatever lumber they had, 2x4s. At the Crystal Palace in London, England, they reassembled the great sequoia tree, and the Englishmen walked around the great sequoia tree and they said, "Ay, Chihuahua, there are trees that big." And they believed it, because now they could see it and they could touch it. Otherwise, they don't believe nothing. And the Englishman said, "Little children should be seen and not heard." But the little children in England had a song. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down. And so, you say it enough times, it happens. So from Arizona, some men went over to England. They took down the London Bridge. They didn't take the whole bridge. They just took a short version. They cut the stones into 5 foot by 4 foot by 3 foot, and they numbered each stone, and they loaded it on a boat. And today we have the London Bridge at Lake Havasu on the Colorado River in Arizona. And the London Bridge was brought to Arizona by Mr. McCulloch, who invented the chainsaw that cut down the great redwood trees. And they have a ceremony every year on top of the London Bridge, and the man comes from England, and Mr. McCulloch pays him the money for the bridge and also gives him a gift of a Hopi Kachina doll from the Four Corners area. The great sequoia tree was burnt black. Remember, the color for West is black. And it still stands today because the bark was removed. And the great tree from which sequoia was named is at the Mariposa Grove in Yosemite. And sequoia died at a little village in Mexico called Mariposa, Mexico. Now, mariposa in Spanish is butterfly. And so it is the new physics. It means the chaos effect or the butterfly effect, which means that the beating of a butterfly wing, the tiny little wind, can make a bigger wind, can make a larger wind, to make a huge wind, to make a dust storm, to make an elephant sneeze in Africa. Now, butterfly in Cherokee is kamama. Elephant in Cherokee is kamama. So between the butterfly and the elephant, the lightest and the largest, somewhere in there is man, Chief Seattle. Man did not weave the web of life. Man is but a strand in the web. What he does to the web, he does to himself. And so, today, everybody's on the web. And that is the return of the Spider Woman. And that is known because it's on the Aztec, Mayan, Cherokee calendar, the 20-day calendar. And Raven Hale, a good Cherokee sister, she passed away in 2005, and she wrote this book. It's the Cherokee Sacred Calendar. And it's very good. It ties in with the Mayan and the Aztec. And Dr. Kalaman wrote the book, The Mayan Calendar and the Higher Awareness and the Higher Transformation of Mankind. And he mentions this book several times of the 20-day count of the Mayan, the 20-day count of the Aztec, and the 20-day count of the Cherokee. But that's another story. It's going to take me a couple hours to explain. But it is a song, and it's for kids. So don't grow up. Raven Hale, I knew her. She's passed on now. She was the eagle. And what's interesting is that the Mayan, the Aztec, and the Cherokee, all straight across the board, all agree that that day is the day of the eagle. And someone here is an eagle. So that's special. With the awakening of the people to the voice of the eternals and the gathering of eagles at the place of our beginnings comes the message of the mountains, which shall be to all people. Cherokee spirituality is not just for Cherokees. It is for the children of Mother Earth. Raven Hail. Long ago, there was a fort cheating the Cherokees. The Cherokee women, they took a knife and they cut their hair short. They would play the man's game, but once they found they were being cheated, then they got angry. And they surrounded the fort. 1,000 Cherokee women screamed in 7 shifts. They selected shifts. And one shift would scream, and when they got done with screaming, the second shift would come forward and they'd scream. All day, all night, all day, all night. And the Cherokee scream was, holy mackerel. The guys had guns, but Captain, we can't shoot. They're women, Captain. We can't handle the screaming, Captain. And after 7 days and nights of screaming women, they threw the guns down. The fort was abandoned.
Yeah.
Don't do that. When a woman screams, you can break the glass with your voice. The glass is made from silica sand. Grandfather said, Will, when little sister screams, you watch, the women will come into power. May 18th, 1980, little sister screamed, Mount St. Helen. Boom! What came out of her? Silica sand, broken glass. And she's named after the Catholic woman that made the first stained glass, the rainbow glass for the Catholic Church. 3 years later, December the 14th, 1983, Wilma Mankiller became chairman of the Cherokee Nation. What did she say? She said, we must make a better world for the next 7 generations of children. Not just Cherokee children, but all the children. Red, white, black, and yellow children. And so the color for West is black. Ichota was the city of peace of the Cherokees. And now a return, Ichotatu. And now you're going to see women, they got a tattoo. The color for West is black. They're wearing black. They got their hair cut short, many women. Like the warrior woman. That's the return of the spider woman. And so as that happens, you can see that. And that was the twins. The spider woman co-created with a great spirit. And today, you're going to see these cobwebs for the children so that they have good dreams. And you look around and you will see these cobwebs everywhere. And they're called dream catchers. In autopsy in the AMA journal, they found that the connecting link between the right and left brain on a woman is this thick. A woman can go quickly from linear to creative. On us guys, in the AMA journal, the connecting link between the right and left brain on a man, because we come from you, womb of man, the connecting link is only this thick. Yeah, I know. Look, the women screamed and they broke the glass. The men threw the guns down. The fort was abandoned. Look at the glass light bulb. Doesn't this look like the filament? And the women scream. A man is born with anger. The woman is born with the all-seeing eye. Mother has eyes behind her head. You kids are too quiet. I know you're up to something in the other room. A man can chase a woman until she catches him. We know who your mother is, but who your father is only a rumor. Those are all old Cherokee sayings. Look at the cobwebs in the sky today. The colors of the black widow spider are red and black. When you see two poles, you will see the black widow spider is the only spider that makes the straight line web. And those are the power lines and the phone lines that go across the land. And you will see that. The military raises, the army raises black widow spiders because the webbing of the black widow spider is it's impervious to something like 200 Fahrenheit and 200 degrees below zero. It will not snag on a sniper rifle, on the telescope of a sniper rifle. They raise black widows just for the crosshairs, so you never have a sag in your crosshair, no matter what the weather.